Sorry about that brief interruption there. Tonight we're going to talk about flash ROM and specifically about flash memory, and I've been trying to figure out a best way to talk to you about this because it is kind of a difficult subject to grasp. Flash ROM is a part of the flash memory family, and the best way to start doing this is to first of all to establish what ROM is, and I did this in a previous video. And ROM stands for read-only memory. Now, in the old days of computers, what they would do is they would etch the beginning input-output system on to a special chip and install that on the motherboard, and that would be the first thing that would activate when you turned on your computer. And if you don't believe me, you can check out the old IBM PCs or even the Tandy Radio Shacks. They used to have TRS-80s, and if you flipped them on, the first thing that the computer would do was read off of the read-only memory. Then it would read off your disks if you had any. So that was the way ROM originally worked. Well, they now have something called the electronically erasable programmable read-only memory. And what happens is, when you set up this particular chip, and yes, it is still a chip, but you don't etch anything on this, okay? Instead, electricity flows with negative charges between a control gate and a floating gate, and it gets stored in there. So you can actually change this read-only memory electronically whenever you need to, and it's not a permanent situation. And you can even actually take out the flash ROM and put it in another computer, reconfigure it, and it'll work for that computer too, depending on whether the actual circuits are compatible. Now that could be a little bit of an issue, but you can take this BIOS chip, this flash ROM, and take it out of one computer, reconfigure it, put it in another computer, and it will work, hopefully. That is, if the actual physical circuitry is compatible with the motherboard. Alright? And this kind of applies to Memory Stick Pro Duos, SD cards, compact flash cards. I could go on and on and on. All of these kind of cards hold negative charges between control and floating gates. That's how they retain their information, and they retain it even though you take it out of the system. The reason you got to know that is because in computers they have actual random access memory. The difference between random access memory and these flash memories is that you can take the flash memory out of the computer and it'll still retain the information. You try to take a stick of RAM out of the computer when the electricity's off, and it won't hold any information. Okay? Once you turn that computer off, RAM is empty, but not flash memory. Okay? And so that's where all this comes from. All of your media cards are flash memory, and they are actually trying to make hard drives that are actually electronically erasable programmable things. That way, instead of carrying a bulky hard drive, you just put this one special chip in there, and there you go. Phones, cell phones use this kind of technology now. And yes, they do use the SD cards, but they have these like SIM cards, same type of deal. Even though you pull the card out of the phone and it's away from the electricity, there is still a negative charge inside of the chip that's holding the information in. It can be cleared out electronically by doing, and you can do this. That's why memory cards are reusable, because you can clear out all those negative fields within the chip, and there you go. Now, if you want to get into more specifics, you can look this up for yourself, but that's basically how they work. Like I said, these things hold negative charges. You put them in electronically, you remove them electronically, but when you pull them out of the computer, the charges that you have in there will stay put because of the control and floating gates. Whereas, like I said, with the original ROMs, It was written on the chip with random access memory. You turn the computer off and the random access memory is empty. Hopefully you understood what I just said. If you have any questions, leave them down here in the comments below. I'll try to answer the best way I can. Hopefully you got a better understanding about how flash memory works, how you have flash ROM, so on and so forth. Alright, I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.